Now we have Brandon Robinson from Scoop B Radio joining us now again. And listen, he's been a busy man over the weekend, breaking some NBA free agency news and really just being cool. Love his glasses. Brandon, how are you doing, my friend? It's good to hear from you again.
Gentlemen, thank you for having me on for the second week in a row. I feel like this is great. Thank you for having me. I've been busy, but I'm glad to talk to y'all.
That's great to hear because that man is busy. You follow him on Instagram, Brandon Robinson, Scoop B. You know that this man is a very, very busy man. But I want to dive right into it, Brandon. When LeBron made his decision yesterday, were you A, surprised or B, relieved?
Both, and I'll tell you why. When I was on your show last Monday, I had spoken to someone leading up to that Friday who basically told me LeBron was going. I had a source who basically gave me the whole shebang, even leading up to that whole Space Jam thing, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But essentially, I was told that LeBron James is 95% will be joining the Lakers regardless of whether or not Paul George would also commit. I was relieved because I got a phone call, and then yesterday it kind of got quiet. It seemed like the Paul George verbally committed to signing with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Many people believed that Philadelphia legitimately had an option, a chance. Even Adrian Wojnarowski reported that don't count Philly out. And I said on your show last week, Philly, L.A., just the whole shebang was something that was legit, and I'm glad I stuck to my guns. I even wrote a story Friday saying, LeBron coming to L.A. is more than just a team. It's about legacy and brand. And I stuck with what I said, and thankfully I was right.
When you look at this long term, Brandon, because we just had a guest on prior to you, and he basically went out and said that he believes that the Lakers are going to be a better team than the Sixers within the next 3 years. Do you share that same thought, or do you believe that, hold on here, it was more just about the mogul thing and not the basketball thing?
I think it's a combination of both. It's almost like if you like a lady with an hourglass shape, but she's got a cool personality and she likes sports and she can cook. I mean, are we really gonna act like that's not a good thing?
No.
I think honestly, when you look at the situation with the Lakers, LeBron brings the experience. They also, it's been reported that Rajon Rondo signed a 1-year tender with the Lakers. They signed Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, although that was pretty much a package deal because he was signed under Clutch Sports, which is the agency that LeBron's agent Rich Paul owns. And then you signed JaVale McGee. You had him. Then you had Lance Stevenson. So there's a glut of talent that's on that roster, and the biggest thing for me is, will they be able to retain Julius Randle? Because to me, Julius Randle is a blue collar DeMarcus Cousins, and they need a hybrid power forward to run that situation. It looks as though Brook Lopez could or could not stay. I know in the past it's been said that he wouldn't mind signing a smaller deal. Otherwise, he's going to go to the Warriors. And then you also have Dwight Howard, who's available. I don't know if that Lakers mix again would work, but he'd be a perfect fit for the Warriors now that JaVale McGee is on his way out. But I think on paper they look good. I also think that they're building a system. And I think when Magic Johnson went on a limb last week and said, if it doesn't work out, I'll step down, I think LeBron respected that, because I think oftentimes people compare LeBron to Magic Johnson, they make the Michael Jordan LeBron analogies, but he's more Magic Johnson than he is Michael, particularly with the business acumen. And I wrote a piece about that, how, the Buss family took over the Lakers back in 1979, and they drafted Magic Johnson the same year. He led them to the NBA Finals in 1980, and with a 3-2 series lead. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was out, and he started at center, and he went to work and won the Lakers championship that year. He and Magic and Bird saved the league in '79. So, not to sound like a basketball historian, but it kind of came full circle for Magic Johnson in acquiring LeBron James. It's the next chapter in the Los Angeles Lakers trilogy.
Yes, and we just had breaking news within the last 30 minutes that Julius Randle was renounced, and he's actually has signed or has verbal agreement with the Pelicans. Yes. Randle is, heading towards New Orleans. So does that open the way for DeMarcus Cousins to come to L.A.?
It's quite possible. I will say that, Adrian Wojnarowski reported that on the Julius Randle, it was a 2-year, $18 million deal with the Pelicans. That's insurance for DeMarcus Cousins, but I've had his high school coach, who later became an assistant coach with Sacramento Kings, who shared with me on the Scoop B Radio podcast that all points indicate that the Pelicans and Boogie both have interest in each other, and there's a loyalty that Boogie has to the Pelicans, particularly because he filled up the stat sheet and he got hurt, and they could have gone deeper in the playoffs against the Warriors. I don't know if they would have beat them, but it's going to be interesting to see that logjam at the big man position, because you got Anthony Davis as well. So Julius Randle is definitely a good fit with the Pelicans because, like I told you, he's a blue-collar DeMarcus Cousins.
Brandon Robinson joining us on the Boardwalk on the hotline here on 97.3 ESPN. Follow him on Twitter @ScoopB. Before we get too far away from LeBron, Brandon, you had the story on Saturday about LeBron leaving the Caribbean, heading over to L.A., and it was interesting because the placement of that airport was very convenient, right? It was, easy 30-minute, 32-minute drive from Dwayne Wade's winery, less than a 30-minute drive from his house, 31 minutes from the Staples Center. Very convenient that location was there. And who was on LeBron's doorstep at 12:01 Eastern Time? It was none other than Magic Johnson. It really seemed like this was the perfect storm. So how do you foresee, if you were in that room, how did you see Magic sealing the deal with LeBron?
Well, I'm told last night that LeBron was already sold on the Lakers, but I'll tell this to you. It was also shared with me that Paul George had committed to LeBron, and he pulled out at the 25th hour. And my source that contacted me last night said that it seemed as though Paul George essentially double-crossed and stabbed LeBron in the back when it all came down to it, and LeBron was so deep into going to L.A., he couldn't pull back at that point.
Wow.
So Magic Johnson didn't really have to do much convincing. As I said on your last show, fellas, the Maybach or the Mercedes analogy. Magic Johnson is, I don't know if you want to go with Maybach or Mercedes, but he's proven winner, proven businessman. And LeBron is still young, but, has that basketball mogul persona. And I think that it wasn't that easy to sell Lakers, who was an established franchise, to LeBron. And I'll add, I've had Isaiah Thomas, Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas, on the Scoop B Radio podcast a few times, and he talked to me one time about how much late Pistons owner Bill Davidson was instrumental in helping him and showing him the ropes as a business entrepreneur. Isaiah owns a champagne line, a trash refuse company. He owns a popcorn company, and so those things being considered, he learned the ropes from Bill Davidson, and I'd imagine that LeBron would seek similar counsel because it's openly available.
Kind of spinning it back to our backyard here, Brandon. So the Sixers did get to be one of the teams that got a meeting with LeBron's people. Sixers moving forward, obviously they didn't get the big fish. They didn't get LeBron or Paul George. Kawhi is still a potential play, but let's say that the Sixers walk away without any of those three guys. Let's say it's 0 for 3 on all counts.
Mm-hmm.
How do you place them in the Eastern Conference going into next year?
Very well. The NBA finds a way to keep storylines going, and it's no coincidence that when you look at LeBron heading to the Lakers, and you see Kyrie Irving with the Boston Celtics, wouldn't it be crazy on the East Coast side if you can't see another edition of the Celtics-Lakers rivalry? That sounds cool, but I also do think there is a brewing Celtics-Sixers rivalry. So in the playoffs this season, and you're going to see it again. Those are the two top teams in the NBA's Eastern Conference. And LeBron, I said this on a show earlier today, he's almost like the father or the uncle at the barbecue that says, let the young kids have some fun. He went over and let the young kids have fun. He's in the Western Conference now. So he grandfathered them into this. So at the end of the day, I do think the two top teams in the NBA's Eastern Conference is the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers. How stoic. Dr. J, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Dennis Johnson, Robert Parrish, World Be Free. The list goes on, and I'll be a little more current. Allen Iverson. Those are historic names in both those franchises. Now we're bringing it to Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving. How great is that?
Brandon, I really want to ask you this question because
Sure.
It's been a discussion all day throughout a lot of radio outlets. Who is the best player in the Eastern Conference right now? And I find it funny that a certain unicorn is not talked about enough in the top five when you talk about the East. Are people forgetting about Kristaps Porzingis just because he's been injured?
I think it's a combination of things. I'm gonna go with the unicorn question first. I think sometimes when you are tall and you are European and or white in a black-dominated sport, people overlook you. And I think Dirk Nowitzki showed folks that you could be European and be just as good as your counterparts. I think that's part of it. I think the other part of it is he plays in the New York market. He played next to Carmelo Anthony for a little while, and he was hurt. And I think sometimes the combination of all those things mentioned and the fact there's so much talent, and it's a show and prove league in a short attention span sort of way, certain people get overlooked. Kristaps Porzingis kind of had like the thing that Andre Iguodala had when he first came into the league. When Porzingis was playing next to Carmelo Anthony, it was Melo's team. When Iguodala came to the Sixers, it was still Allen Iverson's team. He just stayed too long. And once AI left, people got to see the true brilliance of Andre Iguodala. And I think the same thing could happen with the Knicks once Porzingis gets healthy.
Wow. We're talking with Brandon Robinson at Scoop B Radio. At Scoop B, on Twitter, and you should definitely listen to Scoop B Radio. I mean, this man talks to prominent guests, gives great insight. Listen, you have to give that a listen. Brandon, can you kind of clarify the Space Jam thing just to kind of wrap things up?
Yes, I can. So I basically, when I was given the news about LeBron and where he was going, there was supposed to be a trailer that was supposed to be released as part of the rollout. LeBron was supposed to make his announcement through Uninterrupted, which is his platform. LeBron was supposed to follow that up, as the rapper Jadakiss would say, follow up with a book and a documentary. And basically he was supposed to utilize the IGTV platform, which, you can have extended videos for half an hour to an hour, up to an hour, I believe, on IGTV. And what happened was, I don't know that wasn't privileged information. It was given to me. And essentially, when the decision was made, his agency, Clutch Agency, announced it through a tweet and a press release rather than the documentary, or rather whatever their rollout was through video. And the video was supposed to be either the video or the plot for Space Jam was supposed to be sports memorabilia missing. I don't know if O.J. Simpson is making a cameo in this movie, but memorabilia was supposed to be missing. And LeBron at some point was supposed to appear in Los Angeles Lakers uniforms, and I believe that there were some Lakers legends that are supposed to appear. That was the news that I got, and I wrote about it last night. You guys can find it at Basketball Society online, and a few websites picked it up. Comics Books Online, and some other like movie, like sci-fi sites, which is so cool because I like Star Trek: The Next Generation. But yeah, that was the story that was told to me. And I was told, I got a call last night, that LeBron and his team flipped the script when that report came out from Basketball Society Online, that's what he was doing. So Space Jam, there was supposed to be a Space Jam-esque rollout, but I'm told that there still will be a Space Jam 2 movie that comes out at some point. It just wasn't yesterday.
He is Brandon Robinson. Follow him on Twitter at Scoop B. He joins us on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline here on 97.3 ESPN. Brandon, thanks for your time here again on a Monday night, and I hope you're staying hydrated in the heat.
Man, I've been working from home. I haven't been out the house in 2 days. LeBron kept me in, so at some point I got to get out.
When you get out, please bring some H2O.
I'm with it, gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Happy 4th.